Okay, let's unpack this. We are diving into a territory that, despite its small size, holds this really oversized place in global history, geology, and pop culture. Northern Ireland. I mean, just think about the iconic markers. They're instantly recognizable around the world. We're talking about the birthplace of the massive Titanic,
Hmm.
the home of the truly mind-bending natural geology of the Giant's Causeway. And, crucially, the dramatic ancient backdrop for a huge chunk of Game of Thrones. This place punches far above its weight.
That's absolutely right. And our sources, they introduced Northern Ireland as a smallest and northernmost part of the UK. It covers approximately 14,130 square kilometers.
So small on the map.
Exactly. So the mission of this deep dive is to shortcut you, the learner, to understanding how this concentrated geography manages to contain such a dense history, this unique political structure, and a vibrant modern identity that blends both Irish and British traditions.
And we have a deep stack of sources today. They're covering everything from like the specific dimensions of its lakes and mountains to the specifics of its shared government in 2025 and, the powerful legacy of its famous residents.
We're really going beyond the headlines to grasp what defines Northern Ireland today.
So let's start with the literal lay of the land, the physical geography that dictates so much of the culture and history.
Okay.
Northern Ireland occupies the northeastern corner of the island of Ireland, sharing a land border with the Republic of Ireland. It's home to about 1.9 million people. Belfast is the capital, and then you have Derry, or Londonderry, as the other major metropolitan center.
And what's immediately fascinating is the scale of the features within
Right.
this really compact area. When you look at the map, one feature just dominates the center, Lough Neagh.
Right.
And this isn't just a lake. Our sources confirm it is the single largest body of water by area in the entire British Isles. It's a colossal 392 square kilometers.
That feels entirely disproportionate to the country's total size.
It is. It's so large that it influences weather patterns, transport, local economies. I mean, it's this enormous geographic centerpiece.
Okay, so away from the water.
Well, you have the highest peak, Slieve Donard, which rises 850 meters in the stunning Mourne Mountains, and a coastline that stretches about 500 kilometers. Rugged cliffs, sweeping beaches. And yes, the climate is, well, it's classic Atlantic. Mild, rainy, cool summers, and what the locals politely call frequent drizzle.
If that's the physical context, here is where it gets really interesting. The political context. This is the part that I think often confuses outsiders.
Hmm.
Northern Ireland is not independent. It is a devolved government within the UK. This means it has its own legislature, the Northern Ireland Assembly, which meets at the Stormont estate.
And this is a critical detail. It shapes everything about life there. Devolution means the local assembly handles things like health, education, agriculture.
Mm.
But the key areas, defense, foreign policy, they stay with the UK Parliament in Westminster. The existence of Stormont itself is a symbol of self-governance, created explicitly as a necessary part of the peace process.
But the leadership structure is the truly unique element, isn't it? It's not a simple majority system.
Far from it. This shared structure is designed to embed reconciliation and cooperation. Our sources confirm the heads of government, as of 2025, are First Minister Michelle O'Neill and Deputy First Minister Emma Little-Pengelly.
And they lead jointly.
They lead jointly. The roles are functionally equivalent. It mandates that power must be shared to maintain stability. It's government by negotiated synthesis, really.
And globally, since the UK left the European Union, its post-Brexit status is uniquely complex.
Oh, absolutely.
While it is definitively part of the UK, it has this distinct relationship with the EU on trade and regulation. You often hear it described as having a foot in both camps economically.
And that dynamic creates the very specific border issues that constantly appear in global political discourse. It connects this political reality to the broader identity. I mean, Northern Ireland is a place where Irish cultural heritage meets British traditions, and both are deeply cherished.
English is the main language.
But it's important to note the official recognition of both Irish Gaelic and Ulster Scots.
Okay, so what's the difference there? How do the sources indicate that the recognition of both languages practically affects policy or education?
That's a great question, because recognition isn't just symbolic. It affects public funding for language instruction, for signage, for cultural promotion. Irish Gaelic is part of the Celtic family, closely related to the language spoken in the Republic of Ireland. Ulster Scots, on the other hand, is a distinct dialect or language that came from Scottish settlers back in the 17th century.
So that linguistic duality just underscores the land's layered history.
Exactly. And you see that blend visually in the symbols, too. The
Hmm.
shamrock, the flax flower, representing the historic linen industry, and of course the famous Red Hand of Ulster. It's a proud, complex, and dual cultural heritage.
Okay, let's move from the political structures to the sheer physical drama of the landscape. This is where Northern Ireland really brings these geological legends to life, and the biggest story of all has to be the Giant's Causeway.
The Giant's Causeway is a geological phenomenon. I mean, it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site that truly defies belief. Imagine over 40,000 interlocking hexagonal basalt columns stretching out into the sea,
It's incredible.
formed over 50 million years ago when ancient lava cooled rapidly. The precision of those columns makes them look engineered, not natural.
I love that the geological reality is just as mind-boggling as the myth. The sources remind us of the legend of the giant Finn McCool,
Yeah.
who supposedly built the causeway as stepping stones to cross the sea and challenge a rival giant in Scotland. It gives you a great sense of the scale and ruggedness.
It definitely draws millions of eyes every year, but the whole Antrim coastline is just full of these stunning moments. You have the infamous Carrick-a-Reed Rope Bridge.
A bit terrifying, I've heard.
It is. It's suspended 30 meters above the churning sea near Ballintoy, originally used by fishermen. Now it's just this exhilarating coastal walk.
And for scenery, you can't beat the glens of Antrim. 9 scenic valleys, right? Famous for hidden waterfalls and deep folklore.
That's it. And the sources confirm the best way to see it all is by traveling the Causeway coastal route. It's cited as one of the world's most scenic drives, linking Belfast to Derry.
And all that natural environment, that history of conflict, it's marked by these ancient strongholds, the castles.
Yes, the castles are essential. They're incredible markers of strategic importance. You have Carrickfergus Castle, a massive 12th century Norman fortress, still incredibly well preserved.
And Dunluce Castle.
Oh, Dunluce provides one of the most dramatic medieval ruins in Europe, just perched precariously on a cliff edge. These sites are these very visual reminders of invasion, defense, power shifts.
And we absolutely must mention the city walls of Derry, Londonderry.
Yes.
A unique military architectural masterpiece. I mean, they're cited as one of the best preserved walled cities in all of Europe. Built in the early 17th century, they stand as the only remaining complete walled city in Ireland.
And that strategic landscape even fostered literary genius. The Mourne Mountains, those rugged granite peaks, they are said to have directly inspired famous resident C.S. Lewis as the setting for his fantasy world in the Chronicles of Narnia.
So the misty hills, the dramatic coast, it was all an imaginative wellspring. It just shows how deeply the physical landscape is woven into the global cultural identity. Let's shift our deep dive now to the culture, the intense modern history, and the massive creative output that defines Northern Ireland today, starting with the industry that initially put Belfast on the global map.
We're talking about the shipyard.
Hmm.
The story of the Titanic is inseparable from Belfast's industrial heart. The sources confirm the famous ship was built in the city in 1912.
Right.
The pride and the tragedy, they're both massive parts of the modern city's identity. And today, Belfast honors that legacy with the globally award-winning Titanic Belfast Museum, built right on the original shipyard site.
That museum is now a huge economic engine, and it sits alongside a broader, diverse economy. You've got manufacturing, aerospace materials, agriculture, tourism, and increasingly high-tech IT services.
But to truly understand the modern economic success, you have to acknowledge the painful history it emerged from.
Absolutely. We have to talk about the Troubles. For the learner seeking context, this refers to the period of conflict from the late 1960s until the signing of the Good Friday Agreement in 1998.
A complex ethno-nationalist conflict centered on whether Northern Ireland should remain part of the UK or join a united Ireland.
And the sources highlight the 1998 agreement as that foundational moment that brought lasting, if sometimes fragile, stability. And that history isn't hidden away. It's interpreted and integrated right into the modern urban landscape.
This reconciliation process is physically visible. You can see it in things like the peace walls in Belfast. These are physical barriers, some are over 20 feet high, built to separate communities during the conflict.
But now they're covered in murals.
Exactly. They've effectively turned them into the world's largest outdoor history exhibition, telling the story of conflict and the path toward peace.
Even the former prison, the grim Crumlin Road Jail, has been converted into a museum. It really underscores how Northern Ireland has chosen to confront its past as a key part of its present identity and its tourism appeal.
And when you visit this unique place, culture is key. That brings us to the food. Let's not overlook the traditional fare.
You have to talk about the Ulster fry. It's the famous big breakfast staple, but unlike English or Scottish versions, it typically includes both soda bread and potato bread.
Right, alongside the usual sausages, bacon, eggs. And for comfort food, there is champ, which is creamy mashed potatoes famously mixed with chopped scallions or spring onions. Simple, hearty, and really central to the local identity.
And culturally, the region is famous for storytelling, folk music, modern music. You've got Van Morrison, Snow Patrol.
But here is a profound deep dive nugget from the sources. Halloween traditions actually originated right here.
Really?
The ancient Celts celebrated Samhain about 2,000 years ago in what is now Northern Ireland, marking the end of the harvest and the beginning of the dark half of the year.
That is a fascinating historical connection. Now let's pivot sharply to the global screen. We mentioned Game of Thrones, and the magnitude of the impact is staggering. This region is essentially Hollywood North.
It truly is. The sources show that Game of Thrones leveraged the dramatic landscapes, filming in over 25 locations across Northern Ireland.
And these weren't just incidental shots.
Not at all. These locations became central parts of the fictional world. For example, the eerie, interconnected beech trees of the Dark Hedges became the King's Road, and the 18th century estate of Castleward became the exterior of Winterfell.
So how has that intense exposure to a global audience practically affected the local economy? Does the source material give any indication of the economic correlation between the peace process and this cinematic boom?
That's a crucial insight. There's a direct correlation. Stability and investment, they go hand in hand. The film and TV sector has become a critical economic pillar, driving immense tourism revenue through the Game of Thrones effect.
So peace made it possible.
Absolutely. The stable political structures post-Good Friday Agreement made the region attractive not just to film crews, but also to high-profile IT and technology companies seeking a reliable European base. The synthesis of history, peace, and scenery made Northern Ireland an ideal setting.
And that creative talent pool extends far beyond the beautiful backdrops. We've covered C.S. Lewis.
But the list is staggering for a population of 1.9 million. You have actors like the commanding Liam Neeson,
The versatile Kenneth Branagh and Jamie Dornan.
writers like Nobel laureate Seamus Heaney and the Booker Prize-winning Anna Burns.
And sporting legends, George Best, Rory McIlroy. The cultural contribution is just immense. So what does this all mean for you, the learner? Our journey has taken us from the gigantic basalt columns of the Causeway and the deepest lake in the British Isles.
To the birthplace of the Titanic and the filming locations of global blockbusters.
I think the key takeaway here is synthesis and duality.
I agree. Northern Ireland is defined by its profound natural features, Lough Neagh, the Giant's Causeway, but also by its unique, mandatory dual political and cultural identity within the UK. It is a place that had to legislate peace, and that unique structure makes it deeply resilient.
It's a land of complexity, but complexity handled with deliberate structure and, increasing stability.
Absolutely. And that leads to a final provocative thought for you to consider. Northern Ireland's unique structure, from the physical separation imposed by its many loughs and mountains, to the political structure of the devolved government and dual leadership, it reflects a land built on the necessity of coexisting elements. So how might the cultural requirement for reconciliation and peace, exemplified by those deliberate political compromises, continue to shape its economic future, specifically in attracting and retaining high-profile global industries like film and IT? Is the lesson here that stability, born from mandated synthesis, is the most powerful attraction of all? Something to mull over as you continue your own deep dive.